Hello and welcome to another edition of the Rubicon Report. I'm Dr. Jason Deitch, and of course we're here with Executive Director to the Rubicon Group, Dr. Gerry Clum. Welcome. We have an update. There have been some recent advancements in the Rubicon Group and its relationship with the ECU, the European Chiropractic Union.
European Chiropractors Union.
Thank you, Chiropractors Union.
Yep.
Share with us a little bit about our history and what is significant about what's happened recently.
Well, within the Rubicon Group, there are a number of institutions in the European sector.
Okay.
The McTimoney College of Chiropractic has two campuses, one in Abingdon and one in Manchester. The Barcelona College of Chiropractic is in Barcelona, and the German Academy is in the Dresden area, affiliated with Dresden International University. And of course, Life University is moving forward with its branch campus project in Rome. About a year ago, there were some conversations between the leaders of the Rubicon Group and the European Chiropractors Union. And I think it's safe to say there was an acknowledgement that neither one of us was going away. Mm-hmm. And that it would probably be far better off that we were to engage in some dialogue and take some constructive actions rather than let things dissolve or devolve and take some destructive actions.
Right.
Well, out of that came a series of meetings at the suggestion or at the instigation of Dr. Rieckman on behalf of the Rubicon Group and Dr. Oysten Ogre, the president of the European Chiropractors Union, took a very bold step forward on both parties. The truth of the matter is our pattern is more conflict and legislate and litigate than it is cooperation, collaboration, and conversation.
That was then.
That was then.
And
this is now. And throughout the course of the year, we had a number of meetings in the United States, we had meetings in Europe, and we began to work on a series of statements that we could agree upon from the perspective of both organizations that talked about the characteristics of the profession. And admittedly, a good number of them are mom and apple pie statements, things that would be very easy to agree with. A few of them started to flirt with some of the more dicey and difficult areas that exist. And while we didn't resolve them, we resolved to continue dialogue about them. And we resolved to continue to move forward and put our issues on the table, for the ECU to put their issues on the table, and for us to try and come to at least an understanding of each other's position, if not an agreement with each other on those positions.
Okay.
And the first step was a series of statements that evolved over the course of about a year's discussion and dialogue that were brought back to the Rubicon Group for final approval, and that were also brought to the 23 nations that comprise the European Chiropractors Union, those national associations, and they were asked to vote upon them. And very pleased, obviously we had 7 institutions involved, so it wasn't hard for us to come to a like mind with 7. With a larger group of 23 with very significant cultural differences between the countries, it's a little bit more difficult. And while the Rubicon Group achieved 100% support of it, the ECU achieved very high 80% support of it, so a very strong consensus in favor of the documents. In his favor of moving forward with continued dialogue on the statements. Those statements were recently published by the European Chiropractors Union in their print publication called Backspace, and they have been recently published on the Rubicon Group website and circulated by the Rubicon Group institutions and submitted to various press outlets within the chiropractic community here in the United States as well as in Europe and in Australia. And one of the exciting things is that we've recently had feedback from one of the institutions that isn't involved with the Rubicon Group, that wasn't part of these discussions, essentially congratulating all of the parties involved for the work and relating how this is being perceived by persons outside of those that are directly involved in it, which is very positive, very supportive. So in the discussions at this point, as I said, we haven't resolved every issue of potential debate or problem that might divide the Rubicon Group and the European Chiropractors Union or any other group for that matter. But we've made very significant headway about learning how to talk to one another.
That's important.
We've also achieved a consensus on a series of areas that are very important, and they're wonderful groundwork for us to begin on, or for us to have begun on. And now we're in the process of, with the trust and with the understanding that we've gained through this first year, we can maybe address some of the dicier problems that exist with respect to how education is perceived, how practitioners are perceived, the political agenda of different countries and different regions. All of those are important, and all of those need to be taken into consideration. But what is there we can distill out of them that might be useful for the long-term good and health of the profession, and as a result, the professionals that represent the chiropractic community at large? So it's been a very exciting opportunity, and frankly, I think it's the first of its kind in the history of the profession.
Are there, can you get into the specifics of what we've agreed on, and some of the specifics of what we want to kind of keep on working towards?
Well, the issues that we have agreed upon are foundational issues in relationship to the profession and to the responsibilities of the practitioner to the public, the ethical expectations of practitioners, the expectations of practitioners to the chiropractic community at large, and statements about how we perceive chiropractic, both from the perspective of the Rubicon Group and from the perspective of the European Chiropractors Union. I'm hesitant to get into any one of them for fear of misquoting it, but they are all readily available, and they're quite self-explanatory, and they're as close to as and down to earth in their language as we can.
It's a great start.
It is a wonderful start.
Why do you think now things are changing? Why do you think, as opposed to the past of being more argumentative and so on, why do you think this has shifted?
Well, I'm not sure, quite honestly. We may be growing up a little bit. We may have watched enough of Dr. Phil and taken away one of his messages that I remember him asking persons on the show is, well, how's that working for you?
Exactly.
And if we ask ourselves from the perspective of the profession, well, how's your past worked for you? Well, it hadn't done very well.
Not so much.
So maybe we should do something different.
I love it.
And this represents something different, something constructive, something bold, and at the same time something kind of obvious as well.
Yeah.
So it's a grand opportunity, and I'm very grateful for the leadership of the ECU to see the vision and the value of the conversation, and I'm very grateful for the perspective that the TRG institutions brought to the table to begin to see things from the perspective of other cultures and other parts of the world, and how we might language things to make it more functional all the way around for everyone.
Is it safe to say that the contribution of the TRG and its commitment to bringing neo-vitalism to the world and not going anywhere sort of was helpful in sort of bringing that side of the conversation to the table and helping be more inclusive?
Well, I wouldn't say that I can.
Am I overstepping?
I don't know that I would fully can say what exactly was the genesis of the initiative on the part of ECU in this regard. What I can say is that the realization that there is a group of institutions that represent a series of nations, a series of continents that share a similar perspective, was willing to put that perspective forward in a clear and unambiguous fashion, not in an arrogant or a defensive or a confrontational line in the sand perspective, but just simply, these are the things that are important for us. These are the things that we're going to be working for, and we're not mad at anybody. We're not fighting anybody. We just think that there's value for the profession, value for the patient, and value for the society for these things to be advanced in our circles. And that's what we're working toward.
That sounds like maturity to me.
Well, yeah. Perhaps. We haven't had that much of it, so it's hard to recognize when we do find it.
But we'll know it when we get there.
We'll know it when we get there. Okay. Yeah.
Any other updates around that? Where do you see it going? What else do people need to know?
Out of these discussions, it's been my good fortune to have been invited to speak at the annual convention of the ECU, which is going to be held in Cyprus this year. And so I'm looking forward to participating there, sharing some thoughts. I know that several of the other presidents from some of the TRG programs, Dr. Riekman will be there. I think Dr. McMaster from New Zealand will be there. We'll have an opportunity to look at the next areas that we could put on the table to move discussions forward and move a little bit deeper in the dive to get to greater understanding all the way around.
Awesome, awesome. If you've got questions, if you've got comments, or please leave them below. And if you've got interest in the future of the profession, please share this conversation with other colleagues and other chiropractors. Is there anything that viewers should be doing? Is there something they should get involved with, show up and support the TRG in the future? Should they be recommending their schools participate, or what action steps should viewers take?
Well, we would certainly welcome their participation in our programs. Our next major event is going to be in June of 2018. We haven't decided whether it's going to be on the West Coast. It is going to be on the West Coast. We don't know whether we're going to be north or south.
Okay.
It'll either be San Diego, LA area, or Seattle area, but we're still working those details out. Plan to join us. Stay on top of the materials. Visit our website, and carefully read what we put out.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time to get the words right, and we spend a lot of time to make sure that we can reduce the ambiguity and reduce the potential for misunderstanding in our language as fully as possible. We don't have any messianic position. We don't have any, the answer for all problems chiropractic or anything related to it. We just think that there's a few of them that we can address with our dialogue and with our common sense and with a thoughtful approach. And we'd invite practitioners to join us in that.
Well, that's I think a great demonstration of leadership, and I think something optimistic for the entire profession to sort of rally behind, regardless of your beliefs, that we can maturely agree on the things we agree on and respectfully discuss the other issues that hopefully will at least get us progress moving forward, as opposed to holding each other back. That's a great sign of the times.
We embrace the concept that as much as it's wonderful to be in agreement on things, it's also wonderful to recognize that honorable people could have honorable disagreements.
Absolutely.
And that's nothing unique to chiropractic. It's the way of the world.
It is the way of the world everywhere. There just seems to be that, and it's nice to see us catching up with all of that. All right, well, thank you for watching another edition of the Rubicon Report. Again, if you've got questions or comments, leave them below. And of course, we always appreciate you sharing this with other colleagues and teaching them, sharing with them, letting them know about the Rubicon Group, and of course, this edition of the Rubicon Report. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, my friend.